Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is getting some pushback over his ban of school mask mandates. Now, let's be clear, he's not actually banning masks, but he is banning the school, preventing them from actually enforcing and putting out mask mandates for children under 12. And again, he's facing some opposition here. On Wednesday, 3 Florida County school boards voted to require nearly all of their students to wear masks in school, bringing the total to now at least 5 school boards having mask mandates that will openly defy an order from Republican Governor Ron DeSantis. Now, this is happening in some of the most populous areas of the state. Officials such as Miami-Dade County Public School Superintendent Alberta Carvalho, when asked about prioritizing students' health over the DeSantis order, says this, quote, "If the consequence is ultimately my job, my salary, I'm willing to accept that, but I'm not willing to bend on my conviction." So that's interesting. So this person's like, no, I think that kids should wear the masks to protect themselves and the teachers and staff and faculty from COVID-19, especially since kids under 12 cannot, and I repeat, cannot be vaccinated currently. So now that's a strong stance. And again, he could get in major trouble for it. And so state level officials had threatened to withhold funding from counties that were trying to put in mask requirements. Interestingly enough, here comes the federal government, the White House actually doing something about this. So that's interesting. Basically, what Biden had said is that the White House will see about getting federal funds to make school districts whole if they are punished for requiring masks. Interesting. Here's what Biden sent in a memo to the Department of Education, which directs Secretary Miguel Cardona to assess all available tools that can prevent governors from interfering with student health. Quote, "Our priority must be the safety of students, families, educators, and staff in our school communities." Okay. So it looks as though Biden is trying to get the federal government involved. I think that's good, especially considering how right now Florida is one of the worst states, may be the worst state, for Delta variant infections of COVID-19 and hospitalizations. So that's good that he is doing something about this and is trying to help that situation, because it is disastrous. Florida hospitals are being slammed. Many are at peak capacity, have no beds left in the ICU. People are getting stacked up in hallways. It's a disaster. And by the way, the people that are filling these beds, well, they're younger people who are supposedly healthy, and you even have an uptick in children having to be in the hospital. It's still quite rare for children to get very sick, but it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It doesn't mean that children also are not dying as a result. And so not only are they vectors, but as a result of increased transmissibility of Delta variant and more serious symptoms, children are starting to develop more serious symptoms and go into the hospital more often. And it's still, of course, not as severe as adults, but it's still troubling because now that we have vaccines, look, the vaccines protect the adults, but children under 12 are not able to get those vaccines. It hasn't been approved by the FDA yet. And so now, getting back to the mask mandates here, Florida is the only place where you have these bans on mask mandates. You have 7 other states, Texas, Arizona, Iowa, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Utah. They all have state-level policies forbidding mask requirements in schools. School districts in some of these states have started to resist this in some interesting ways. One district in Texas, for example, had attempted to require masks by making them a part of the dress code. On Thursday, Texas also temporarily dropped enforcement of its ban on mask mandates after a state Supreme Court had ruled against it. So I like this because they're actually not only trying to be clever, but in places like Florida, where you have some of these school districts that are in open rebellion, they're saying, no. We should have all mask mandate. I don't care if you try to ban it. We're going to do the right thing. We're going to actually protect children. You know, I remember when Republicans used to claim to be pro-life. Oh, no, we're for the children. You got to protect the children. Yeah, we're totally pro-life. Well, oh, yes. Now they're, oh, how dare you mandate masks? How dare you try to vaccinate children above 12? We believe in freedom. We believe in freedom for polio and COVID-19. Everybody should get it because that's what a free society is about. No, you don't give a crap about kids. Of course not. No, for this, look, I think this is political because, of course, it is. There's a lot of dum-dums on the right that are anti-vax, anti-mask. And so these politicians like Ron DeSantis that have future political aspirations, well, they look at that and they think, I don't really give a damn about my constituents. So hell yeah, I'm going to fight against these mask mandates because you know why? It gets the hogs ready to vote for me. Ron DeSantis, there's a lot of talk about him running in 2024 for president. I don't know for sure. A lot of that, again, how many rumors do we hear about people running, wanting to run for president, and then it turns out that they actually don't, or they try to run again for a different office, or whatever. But here's the thing. Whenever, at least there's even talk about Republicans trying to achieve either higher office or to beat back a primary opponent, like what's happening in Texas, or if they are the primary opponent, they enter into what I like to call a dumb-off. And so it's a contest, of course, who could be the most dumb, the most callous, and the most cruel in order to get vicious far-right voters to vote for them and support them. Again, it drives the hogs wild. Yes! Yeah, people dying of COVID. Yeah, it's not even real. Yeah. Freedom. And now they're even trying to blame people who are vaccinated for the increase in COVID-19, which makes absolutely no sense. Yes, people who are vaccinated can still, on occasion, spread COVID-19. It is true. That's why, of course, we should have masks and we should get everybody vaccinated. And until, of course, those numbers fall, we should all, especially in, like I said, in areas of really high transmissibility, community spread, mask up, even if we are vaccinated. But they're trying to blame vaccinated people for the spread in unvaccinated areas. Can you believe that? Absolutely ridiculous. But again, they're trying to be the most dumb, the most callous, the most cruel, the most ridiculous, and of course, the most conspiratorial. And there are clear consequences of these contests that are just absolutely horrifying. One Florida paramedic told BuzzFeed News that they were literally stacking patients in the hallways and stacking patients in waiting rooms because there are no beds. Now, the good news, the upside of this is that Florida voters are kind of getting pissed. In fact, according to an early August poll of likely Florida voters, a full 62% believe that masks should be required for all children. So you've got the majority of Florida voters saying, yes, make them wear masks. This is serious. Make them wear the masks. And yet only less than a third of voters agreed with DeSantis that masks should be voluntary and not mandated. So again, to be clear, DeSantis' position is not banning masks outright, but he's just doing the whole BS thing of, oh, well, let's let the parents decide. Well, again, the masking isn't as effective if there are still a lot of people that choose not to do it. It is the most effective when we are all on board, the same with the vaccines. But again, you have political motivations that are a hell of a motivator. I'm just glad that there are people who are fighting back, who will be affected by this, and they're the ones that are actually doing the right thing in defying this order. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.